The corridors of the royal palace on Valeth hummed with violet light. The walls were alive, grown from bioluminescent stone that pulsed like a heartbeat. To outsiders, the sight was terrifying. Organic architecture woven from a species whose mastery of genetics had elevated them above most galactic empires. To Daniel Mercer, a stranded human engineer from Earth, it was just another reminder that he didn't belong here. And yet, someone in this palace refused to let him leave. Her name was Leary. She was not just any Valethian. She was the princess, heir to the matriarchal line that stretched back over 1,000 years. Her scales shimmered silver blue, her elongated eyes reflected light like polished gems, and her voice carried a weight that made even generals kneel. But right now, that voice trembled as she confronted him in her private chamber. "You," she hissed, claws curling nervously as she pressed a hand to her abdomen. "You have done something impossible." Daniel blinked. "I fixed the power core like you asked. What's impossible about that?" Her expression darkened, eyes narrowing like a predator's. "Not the core. My body. Feel it. Your seed has taken root inside me." Daniel froze. His breath caught, his mind tumbling back through every stolen moment, every night of reckless closeness when loneliness had driven them past fear and politics. It had seemed harmless, a fleeting connection between two exiles of circumstance. He had never imagined. "That's not possible," he whispered. "Our species shouldn't even be genetically compatible. Yet it has happened." Her tail lashed once against the floor. "And if my mother, the queen, learns of this, she will see it as corruption. She will not allow me to leave your side, nor you to leave mine. Do you understand what you've done, human?" The beginning. The forbidden bond. Daniel's journey to this moment had been full of accidents. He hadn't meant to crash on Valeth. His ship, Ardent Dawn, had suffered a navigation error during a warp jump, leaving him marooned on this hostile planet ruled by the Valethian Empire. Captured, interrogated, and eventually assigned as a lowly technician in the palace, Daniel had survived by fixing what others couldn't. That was when Leary had found him. Curious, defiant, eager to know more about the strange biped who smelled of iron and smoke instead of pheromones and crystal dust. She had tested him with riddles, challenged him with questions, and finally, in the loneliness of her chamber, reached for him with trembling hands. It was supposed to be a secret. It was supposed to mean nothing. Now it meant everything. "You need to leave," Daniel said at last, voice low. "If the queen finds out, you'll be in danger. I won't let that happen to you." But Leary stepped closer, her claws tracing lightly against his chest. "Leave. After you've made me carry something no Valethian has ever carried." "No, Daniel. You won't leave. My mother will make sure of it. She will not let me walk this path alone." The middle, the queen's fury. The queen of Valeth, Serethis, was a towering figure draped in robes woven from living silk that shimmered with her mood. Her gaze could silence an army, and her word was law. When the news reached her throne, the palace shook with the force of her roar. "Bring the human to me," she thundered, her crown glowing as if to channel her rage. Daniel was dragged into the throne room by guards whose armor clung like a second skin. He was thrown to his knees, his wrists bound in organic cuffs that pulsed against his skin like veins. Leary stood beside him, her head bowed but her body tense with defiance. "You dare pollute the royal line with alien filth?" Serethis snarled at her daughter. "You shame our blood. You shame me." Leary lifted her chin, her voice sharp. "I carry something new, Mother. Something no Valethian science has ever achieved. You should not see this as shame but as proof of strength." "Strength?" The queen spat, her fangs flashing. It is weakness. This human is fragile, short-lived, pathetic. You tie our line to decay. Daniel found his voice, though it quivered. With respect, your majesty. Humans survive where others die. We adapt. We endure. Maybe what happened wasn't corruption. It was evolution. The throne room fell silent. Serethis' eyes burned into him, unreadable. Then she leaned forward, voice like poison. You would speak of evolution, human. Then prove your worth. If you survive the trials of the crucible, perhaps I will allow you to remain. If you fail, your death will be slow. Trials. Daniel had no choice. The crucible was an ancient rite, a series of brutal tests meant to prove the resilience of Valethian warriors. For a human with no claws, no scales, and no venom, it was a death sentence. The first trial was the Gauntlet of Fangs, a labyrinth filled with beasts engineered to hunt anything warm-blooded. Daniel had only his wits and a broken pipe he'd stolen from the palace's ventilation system. Where others would fight, he improvised, setting traps, tricking the creatures into turning against each other, and slipping through shadows until he stumbled out, bloodied but alive. The second trial was the Pit of Fire, where contestants endured heat that could melt stone. Valethians relied on their heat-resistant scales. Daniel relied on engineering, constructing a crude shield from reflective shards and dripping condensation from the cavern sealing onto his clothes to stave off burning. He staggered through, coughing but alive. The final trial was the test of submission, where the queen herself pressed down on his mind using psychic resonance, forcing him to kneel and yield. Daniel clenched his fists, remembering Earth, the colony he lost, the people who mocked humanity as weak. He forced himself upright, sweat pouring, whispering through clenched teeth. Humans don't kneel. The queen's eyes widened. For the first time her expression cracked. Twist, stopped from leaving. When Daniel emerged victorious, Serethis' fury did not fade. Instead, it transformed into something colder, more dangerous. You should have died, she hissed. But you didn't. And now, I cannot let you go. Daniel frowned, confused. You mean, you'll let me stay with Leary? The queen's laughter was sharp, echoing through the chamber. Stay. Human, you will never leave this world again. You carry too much danger within you. You have given my daughter an heir that is neither Valethian nor human. If that child is born, it could reshape dynasties. Entire empires would seek it. I will not risk it leaving my grasp. Leary stepped forward, scales glittering. You would cage him like a pet. He has proven himself. He is my choice, mother, not yours. Serethis' gaze softened, but only slightly. My daughter, you may keep him. But understand this. He is bound to us now. If he ever tries to flee, both of you will suffer. The throne will not allow such rebellion. Daniel felt the weight of the words settle like chains around his shoulders. He had dreamed of finding a way back to Earth, of leaving this alien world behind. But now he was tied forever to it, through blood, through bond, through love he had not expected. The ending, a forever home. Weeks passed. The queen's anger dulled into watchful silence. Daniel remained under heavy guard, but no longer as a prisoner, more like a reluctant consort. Leary stayed close, her hand often brushing his, her voice whispering comfort in the long nights. One evening, as they walked through the bioluminescent gardens,